Hey, 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 what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of. For 1 second, guys. Hold on. Okay, sorry guys. Sorry about. Oh. TheAllianceBlog, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm J-Cal. I'm your host, and we're here just to talk some NWA. Go ahead and hashtag that NWA. Talk NWA. I have no championship match on NWA POWERRR. Does anyone else do that when they say power? Is it just me? Is it just me? Also, we have a third-degree national title defense from the shooter, Aaron Stevens. I always like to read your guys' comments. Sorry about the ADHD, but I do like to see what you guys are saying here in the comments. Just turn up the volume and listen in your conversation. And Michael, that PO number was not on my job order. I don't know what the customer's talking about. You see, guys, now this might look like a cool home studio, but I'm really just in the hallway of one of my office or my office at work. What I do during the day is I rent equipment, construction equipment, bucketsforrent.com. You can follow them on social media as well, mostly just Instagram and Facebook. Michael says he pronounces it normal power. Michael, you take all the fun out of things, man. I was trying to get the Twitch going too, but time got away from me today, I'll tell you that much. So how are you guys doing? It's been quite a week for me. I was in Vegas over the weekend, and believe it or not, nobody was talking NWA in Vegas. Nobody at all. Nobody at all. Nobody at all. What the heck? Look at me tripping on how my phone works. Alright, there we go. So, sorry for all the distractions and everything else. What did I do in Vegas? What happened in Vegas, my friends? No, we went with a vacation with Alex says, how about Questionmark versus Tony Starks? Did you mean Ricky Starks? Because Iron Man isn't in the NWA universe just yet. I mean, Billy Corgan is a shrewd negotiator. David Lagana has a lot of creative ideas. Tony Stark isn't in the NWA just yet, Alex. But Ricky Starks is. And I would like to see Ricky wrestle against the Questionmark once again. When Trevor Murdoch beat the Questionmark in that tournament for the that the Questionmark looked human in NWA. So to see now as TV champion, he has to defend that title 7 times to get a shot at Nick Aldis and the World's Heavyweight Championship. So it'd be interesting to see if Ricky Starks, who he is going to face next, and if he did end up facing Mr. Questionmark, I think that would be a fun match, very interesting. And of course, one thing that the NWA Creative kind of let us down at, I really feel, is that we went from having this cool storyline with Ricky Starks and Aaron Stevens, and how Aaron Stevens couldn't beat Ricky Starks, and they had that 2 out of 3 fall match, And then Starks finally did get a victory. And then at Into the Fire, Ricky Starks was challenging the national champion Colt Cabana. Aaron Stevens weaseled his way in, got that title shot. And then they kind of even started to continue that feud with Starks pulling off one of those extra question mark masks and revealing that he was in fact not a representative of the Mongrovian Martial Arts Academy. But then they didn't do anything with it. So now we got Ricky Starks, the TV champion. We got Aaron Stevens, the national third degree champion, and it felt like that encounter kind of got left down. So in my mind, I think that was kind of a bad move for the NWA. I think if you put the title on Murdoch, Tim Storm, hell, even Zicky Dice, you could have had that feud already ready to go. Instead, we're getting matches like Aaron Stevens at the pay tonight, wrestling against Trevor Murdoch, which I think is going to be a good match. I really do. They will be talking the NWA in Vegas. They just don't know it yet. Michael, you are 100% right. So, Wrestling Alliance, you know, Ring of Honor started running that Orleans Arena in Las Vegas at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. But years before Ring of Honor had even stepped foot on any of these West Coast states, David Marquez was running the National Wrestling Alliance shows in that same arena, in that Orleans arena. And that's like a 6,000 person arena, and I think he had probably like a third, maybe 2/3 of the occupancy. We're talking about maybe like a total of like 3,000 people, maybe 4. But it looked great in terms of how they produced it on television. You could see those old matches on David Marquez, the United Wrestling Network's YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/VIP guide. And Carl the Machine Gun Anderson defending against Los Luchas, Phoenix Star, and Zocre. And also Adam Pearce at the time, who was the NWA Heritage Champion, which that title is now the Hollywood Heritage Championship. He was actually wrestling a Canadian fellow by the name of Nelson Creed, and they even had Nick Bockwinkel on these matches. And these shows were highlighted with a lot of stars. Sean Waltman was continually on these shows. We had Colt Cabana, we had the Masked Spy Master, Adam. Those shows were really cool, and they did those in that arena. So, you know, I've heard that they're looking for a place to hold the Crockett Cup. I would love for it to be in Vegas, because I would love to drive just a few hours to get to the show instead of flying all across the country to get there. Alex said, yeah, brain fart. No worries, Alex. I just was busting your chops a little bit. Ricky Starks is the man. Lamb says, Silver State Pro Wrestling with David Marquez will start in Las Vegas soon. Maybe that is a way for the NWA to return home. I don't think the NWA is coming. I don't think to Charlotte, hell, even flying to Nashville. Don't get me wrong, I love to travel, and it's great. It's fun to get away, but you know, the amount of time that I have to give up work to be at the shows, to spend time away from the family, it's taxing. And then plus, it's not cheap either. You know, I flew to China for less than what it cost for me to fly to Charlotte, so keep that in mind. So yes, we will have a national third degree title defense tonight, and I believe this will be the first title defense for the national title for Aaron Stevens on Power. And of course, we do know that this will be Thunder Rosa's first defense on TV on Power. So these are both going to be dynamics that we are not used to, or at least haven't seen yet. One thing that I question why the NWA has done this so far. Now, bear in mind, they shot television over 2 days to compensate for up to 2 months of television. I don't know if this was a formula change or if this was what it is exactly, but the National Wrestling Alliance aired about 7 minutes of wrestling, maybe 8 minutes of wrestling last week. Now, I did think Power was interesting. I did think it was a good show. Our review of that show will actually be up later this evening. We had a few issues with some download and all that fun stuff. But it will be coming up later this evening. In fact, it's uploading as we speak. But I think they dropped the ball here. Why is there only 2 matches? And is it going to be that? Is that the format going forward? Are we only going to have 2 matches per episode of Power? It certainly is a way to spread the material, but it just feels like WWE was offering. It was different than what Ring of Honor was offering. It was different than even what Impact was offering. It was giving us a show, right, that had very little filler. It had silly stuff, it had segments, sure, but it had some good wrestling. And now I feel like we're even losing some of the good wrestling. Now, if we're getting championship matches each week, I think that, alas, that's not how it is. So, who are your guys' MVPs so far on NWA Power? We're now into the 2nd episode of Season 3. And who are the guys that, like, when they're on, you're watching, right? You turn on the YouTube, you log in, and, you know, you get past some of these awful Austin Idol commercials. You get past, you know, Joe Galley and his clickbait attempts at trying to get Camille to speak, and you're actually getting into the wrestling. Who do you like to watch? One of the guys who I feel is extremely overrated and underutilized is Bram, Thomas Latimer. And I know that he has a lot of baggage that comes with him, and I know a lot of people dislike him because of that baggage, but he's actually really good in that ring. His promos are a bit, I don't know about his promos. He definitely needs somebody to do the talking for him. But in the ring, he looks great. He's got that $1 million body. I mean, he's able to toss around guys like Trevor Murdoch with the greatest of ease. There's no reason why he can't be in that ring wrestling for that 3rd degree national championship or the TV title. And, you know, I don't know what the future plans are, but as my co-host pointed out to me last night, you're not seeing I6 and Latimer doing a lot of teaming as of late. It seems like the wild card are not really focused on tag titles. They're out there having individual matches. Now, they did get booked in the pay-per-view for tag team titles, but we're not really seeing that tag team showcased. And when was the last time they even had a victory as a tag team? So, let's see what more of your comments are. I've got no complaints at all about Power, but I can't believe how much I'm enjoying it. Michael, I do critique the show quite a bit because I kind of feel like that's my responsibility, but I do enjoy it. Do not get me wrong. I watch it every week with a smile on my face. But there are things that I wish they would do differently. There are things that I think they could do better. There are things that I would encourage more fans to talk about. Now, Michael, I know you're a Rock and Roll Express fan, and I know you like Ricky Morton, but to me that was like nails on the chalkboard. I was just, I couldn't take it anymore. Now, he hasn't been on my TV since the pay-per-view, but I'm not sure how much longer that'll last. For now, it's a good thing. One thing, I think I brought this up last week, but I'll say it again this week. Since this whole TNA versus Impact show has been announced, we lost ODB, and I haven't seen her working an NWA event since the first TV taping, or the second set of TV tapings. So we haven't seen her at all in Season 3, and it doesn't look like she's going to be making an appearance. We no longer have Scott Steiner around. At least that's what it appears to be so far. Who else did I see that I thought was worth noting? Can't remember. Well, anyways, Scott Steiner, ODB seem to be gone from the show. And, it's not a horrible loss, but I did think ODB had some value, and it was fun watching her wrestle. I'm glad Thunder Rosa got the victory over her and kind of got that rub before they quit using her. Devin Mercer. DKM, everyone. DKM is in the chat. He says the title match every week, don't need a pay-per-view. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong at all. But when they spaced out the pay-per-views, we were kind of spoiled. The first season had one pay-per-view. Second season had another pay-per-view. This next season is going to last literally 2 months. So we won't have a pay-per-view until the Crockett Cup. And when that happens, we don't have an exact date yet, but it's supposed to be April. We don't have an exact city yet, but we know that the world title is supposed to be on the line when Nick Aldis is supposed to defend against Marty Scurll, a rematch from the Crockett Cup last year. Alex says, I like to watch Trevor just for that throwback feel. Absolutely, Alex. Trevor does have that old school feel. He does have that, everyone says, well, he looks like Dick Murdoch. Well, of course, guys, that's why they call him Trevor Murdoch. They're trying to play off the legacy. His wrestling style is akin to Harley Race. I mean, he's not going out there to try to look like $1 million. He's out there trying to beat people up, and I think that's what I like about Trevor Murdoch. I think that's very fun to watch him. Again, I'm not in love with his promos, but he doesn't need to have good promos. He just needs to go out there and beat people up. We talk about, we haven't talked about it today, but the Pope is looking for his superpowers. Well, Trevor Murdoch sure is pretty powerful. It wouldn't be, I'd like to see him in some sort of a group or maybe a tag team. I was pushing for him and James Storm to become a tag team. Not that anyone really listens to what I have to say, but I thought him and James Storm might have made a really good tag team for the NWA. Lamb says, Bram and Royce Isaacs didn't get a lot of chance on the show. Those matches with Rock and Roll Express, well, yeah. Lamb, you're right. The problem with putting over guys like the Rock and Roll Express is, where do we go from here? It doesn't appear that the Rock and Roll Express will be back in the NWA anytime soon. Now, I haven't really checked all the spoilers, so maybe you guys might know something I don't. But Ricky and Robert, okay, they're legendary. I'll give them that. You got to give them their due. They've been wrestling for years and years and years. And, oh, hey, it's Thunder Rosa. Holy shnikey, Thunder Rosa. Lady. How you doing? No, Thunder Rosa. Wow. Awesome. Welcome to the show. Kevin has been messaging you about coming on to the Alliance Guys podcast. We hope to have you come on and talk a little NWA with us very, very soon. I'm sitting here reading through the comments. I didn't even see hers yet. Thunder Rosa, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate your support. As you know, we all speak very highly of Miss Rosa here on the show, whether it be on the Alliance Guys podcast or here at the pre-party. Thunder Rosa is awesome. Can't say enough great things about her. She has a YouTube channel. We'll put a link to that show after this show, so if you guys come back and watch it again, we'll put it in the comments, and we'll also put a link during the video. But Thunder Rosa, welcome to the show. Thank you for checking us out. Now back to me rambling some more and reading your guys' comments. I think Royce and I think Latimer would be. Thank you, Thunder. Thank you, Mel. I think the guys would benefit from kind of starting over from scratch and work. If they're going to be pushed as a tag team, then they should be facing some more formidable tag teams, but maybe just start off with some enhancement matches and let them get their feet wet again and get going. And then Michael says, remember, for the people who've been away for 20 years, it's great to see Ricky Morton for a while. This is Billy and Lagana's vision now. You're right. Hey, Michael, there's no wrong answer to this, right? It's what do people want to watch? And that's the thing. That's the amazing thing about pro wrestling is there's so many different flavors out there. We can all find what we like. The NWA is the closest flavor that I enjoy the most. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is a close second. Some people love AEW. Some people love the WWE. Some people love Impact. Everyone has their own choice. The NWA to me is right, but I still nitpick. That's just kind of what I do. And if I just said how great the show was, then I would sound like every other podcast. So I try to be as legit and real as I can be and talk from the heart. I'm passionate about this stuff. And then Thunder Rosa says, hi, guys, and hi, Thunder Rosa. D-Game says, why didn't Mr. Anderson, ODB, and Steiner take R&R Express with them? Mr. Anderson, that's who we forgot. And I don't know. This is just my speculation. Like, of course, Mr. David Lagana and I consider him a friend, but he doesn't give me insider information or anything like that. This is just speculative on my part. Yeah, one night only. Everyone's saying hi to Miss Rosa. D-Cam says that's his favorite NWA champion. That's pretty legit, too. Alex Rowe, the women's champions. Yeah, that's awesome. And you know what, Miss Thunder Rosa, while we have you here, I was a big fan of Allysin Kay. I had never really seen her Impact stuff, but we watched her at the Crockett Cup, and when she was crowned women's champion, it was pretty cool. It was really cool, and I was looking forward to seeing big things from her. But all of a sudden, Thunder Rosa comes in, and I think she disrupts the entire system because the people that are at the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios, you know, they mirror what the internet seems to be interested in, what the Twitter fans seem to be interested, and that is Thunder Rosa. And that doesn't happen by mistake. That happens from hard work and charisma and likability and a good performance in the ring. And that's everything that Thunder Rosa did when she stepped into that NWA ring. Of course, Lagana's video package about her MMA fight certainly just showed a different side of Thunder Rosa. So if you guys didn't like her before that video, I'm sure you liked her after it. And again, don't want to brag too much about Miss Thunder Rosa, but she's coming to the Alliance Guy podcast, and I think we'll work out something very soon. But I appreciate you checking us out today, and knowing that we're big fans. I'm sure you'll find that out. DCam says he loves her. We all do. Alex says thank you, champ. Koki says Thunder Rosa is money, best pickup the NWA has. Yeah, I mean, Lagana said on our show that after her performance at the first week that they wanted to lock her up. Now, I don't know what lock her up means. I don't know what that contract stuff looks like, and it's not really my place to say anything. But yeah, there's a reason why she's the women's champion. Allysin has great in-ring skills. I think Allysin is good both on the mic and inside the ring, and I've kind of likened Allysin Kay to like a female version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not like Becky Lynch, but in her own right. She kind of comes out there, she talks shit, but she backs it up in the ring. And the match that you two had was really good at the pay-per-view. Lamb even said that was the show of the match of the night. I think most of the viewers here would agree. That was a stellar match between you two. So, yeah. We know that Alison Kay is talented. I think just a lot of us prefer watching you get down in the ring. Of course, Thunder Rosa. Again, big fans here. I know you and Steve from SoCal Uncensored were talking. We were trying to get you interviewed at the first set of TV tapings. It just didn't pan out. But as someone who used to write for SoCal Uncensored and have been able to watch your career, you know, from what you're doing in Texas to what you're doing out here in SoCal and all points in between. The Twisted Sisters, you guys winning the NWA International Tag Team titles and defending that in Stardom. Big fans, like to see more. Can't wait to talk to you so we could do a lot more of in-depth interview and talk about your experiences in wrestling and with the National Wrestling Alliance. So you guys are... Okay, let's see. So Aaron Stevens is probably the greatest wrestler I've ever seen. I love Aaron Stevens. I'm not going to even hide it anymore. He's probably one of my favorite things about NWA Power. He's got enough creepy to go with his funny that makes it work. I don't think he's wrestled but maybe more than 20 minutes in every single ounce of wrestling he's done for the NWA. He makes wrestling fun for me. Him and Kevin Douglas, my co-host, do a lot of back and forth on Twitter. Hoping to get him on the show at some point too. I know he, he's off making movies. He's off winning third degree national championships and third degree Mongolian karate belts. But ultimately, he's very entertaining. One of the bright spots of the NWA, along with the aforementioned Miss Rosa. Thanks again for stopping by, and we hope to get you on the podcast soon. TCam says, Kikuchi says that Thunder Rosa versus Casey Carlisle is the feud that we need. 100%. Casey Carlisle is a former NWA Women's Champion. You guys might not know this. She's currently holds about 8 women championships all across the Eastern Seaboard and in parts of all over the U.S. I know that she is like the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Women's Champion. Excuse me. No, that's incorrect. She's the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Champion, which that promotion is affiliated with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. I know she holds a lot of other titles. I know Kikushi's a big fan, so maybe he could list some of her accomplishments. Her versus Thunder Rosa would be great. Also, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Jazz is back taking bookings again, and I know a lot of people have hinted at her maybe trying to come reclaim her title. Now, Thunder Rosa did face Jazz for that women's championship back like in 2016 when Jazz first won the title. So it'd be interesting to see Thunder Rosa squaring up with Jazz again. This time, the roles would be reversed. More of your comments. Sorry if I'm jumping around, guys. I was just trying to keep up with everything. The question mark makes my night, and Miss Rosa, other than you, of course. I think he was talking to Thunder Rosa. But yeah, question mark. Again, there's a lot of different flavors here in the National Wrestling Alliance, and you could taste and decide what you choose to enjoy. I know there's a lot of people in here who love the question mark. There's a lot of people in here who dislike the question mark. I think ultimately, if the wrestling is at least passable, if it's entertaining, the promos are fun or silly, and you can get into it, then great. If it's not for you, then I'm not going to try to push my taste on anybody else. Willie Bowen. Willie's a huge NWA fan, and he says that he wants some more ODB matches on Power. Willie, I don't think ODB will be back. I mean, nothing has been officially said, but it seems like all the wrestlers who started working with TNA seem to have disappeared, Impact have disappeared from the NWA show. We haven't seen a lot of people come back lately. Michael Manning, I like Allison's accent. Yeah, she's pretty good. And hang on here a second. I'm sorry, guys. I just got to do something real quick here on the phone. Forgiveness. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay. Michael Manning said, "Thank you, Thunder Rosa." You guys are just thanking her. Stan says the new theme sucks. Fair enough. Michael Manning says, I would love for Jazz to show up and take on Kay and Rosa. I think it would certainly add a dynamic to the show. Kakoshi says Thunder Rosa versus Sumi Sayake. Sayake. I know I'm close, Kakushi. I know you have to give me partial credit, right? God damn it. Terrible at those names. Alex. Yeah, I'm mad they didn't stick with Dokken. These production costs aren't cheap, and I don't know what it costs to use licensed music. I don't know how affordable it is, but it is what it is. The future of the tag belts. Well, I think the future is now, right? Eli Drake is currently holding the title of James Storm. And I think that this title picture, right, so at the nucleus of the NWA universe is the 10 pounds of gold, right? The same belt that all these guys are holding in these photos, well, except for this guy. But the rest of them all have that 10 pounds of gold. And I think what we're going to see is that's where the story lies. That's where we're going to focus our energy at, right? So Nick Aldis is the man with the 10 pounds of gold, and he's got to face all comers. So whether it be Ricky Morton or, Jax Dane or whomever, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce for all I care, that's where the universe is going to lie, right? So everything is going to build up to that 10 pounds of gold, including James Storm, who already had a shot at that title, including Eli Drake, who is still yet to have that title shot, including Ricky Starks, the national champion, including Aaron Stevens, the national champion, Eli Drake, the tag team champion. All of this is important. All this is leading up to things. Eli Drake is money, without a doubt, money. So is James Storm, and the pairing of them is working very well. I think that you're just going to keep the belts on them for a while until the NWA has something better to do with them. So I think we're going to get these matches with Marty Scurll. We're going to get these matches that a lot of people have been pining for with Nick Aldis until it builds up to Eli Drake, which might not be till next year. And I don't know if I have a problem with that. Okay, more. Willie Bowen says Barbie Hayden or Tiffany Rocks could be good matches with Thunder Rosa. I'm not 100% accurate, and you guys can check me on this. I believe Barbie Hayden has mostly retired from in-ring competition outside of WOW Wrestling. I think she's mostly done. Kikuchi said the same thing. Okay, good. Tiffany Rocks, I'm not too familiar with her, but sure. I don't think the NWA is against using women who have credible paths. I think they're just trying to find the new diamonds in the rough. And, Tasha Steelz, again, she was pretty talented as well. We'll see what they're going to do next. Lamb says Mikey O'Shea returned to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood this weekend. Maybe someone for the NWA too. I don't think that the Irish Juggernaut is quite ready for the NWA yet. I have a list, and maybe that's what I'll do next week, is bring my list of talents who I'd like to appear in the National Wrestling Alliance. I know some of them are actually scheduled to be heading to the NWA in some form or fashion soon, but I really would like to see a few other names before Mikey O'Shea. Mikey O'Shea is a good guy. I've known him for years. I think I was one of the first people to ever interview him. He has always been kind. He's been very respectful and always trying to just better himself. I would like to see him return to a dominant fashion in the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood before he ever is even looked at by the NWA. You got to imagine, think of Trevor Murdoch and how big he is and how dominant he should be. And again, no disrespect to Mikey O'Shea, but put him in across the ring with Mikey O'Shea. Doesn't add up. It just doesn't. Dan Maff is the man. Michael Manning said Dan Maff is the man. I was actually really impressed with his performance. I wouldn't mind seeing Dan Maff return to the NWA. But again, there's guys who I would much rather see in the ring. Guys who are former World Heavyweight Champions, I'd really like to see return to the NWA sooner than later. And we'll see. Watts from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood could show up on Power. Watts is one of those guys on my list. You guys want the short list? Watts is on it. Okay. Funny story. Legit story. In China, the show where Nick Aldis took on Colt Boom Boom Cabana for the World's Heavyweight Championship, I was there. I traveled with Barbie Hayden. I traveled with Heather Monroe. I traveled with Reno Scum, Nick Aldis, Colt Cabana, Watts. And Watts' tag team partner did not get his visa to China in time. So Watts didn't have a tag team partner for the first United Wrestling Network tag team title defense. He was challenging Reno Scum. There was a push. I know that some people were reached out to. Hell, I even helped look for people. Matt Sigmund, unavailable. Chase Owens, unavailable. Matt Sigmund's tag team partner, whose name I can't think of right now, unavailable. So the search was on to see who had a visa, who could even just make that trip. And in fact, it ended up being Alex Chamberlain, who used to wrestle with the NWA on Fire group. He teamed with Watts. But the joke was that I kind of resembled a little bit slightly Watts' former manager in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I kind of looked like Ty Matthews a little bit. The guy with the ponytail and does this all the time, talks about the power of positivity and all that good stuff. And we were joking around that I'd go get a shirt and tie and be his tag team partner in case Alex didn't make it on time. Fortunately, he did, so I didn't have to step into the ring. Devin Mercer says Brett McKenzie from Texas would be a great ad. Yeah, and I know that dude's a legit badass, so it would be interesting to see what he could do, what he'd bring to the table, and all that fun stuff. But not sure how that would work out. Not sure if either party's interested, but certainly he would be a guy who I think could add some value to the brand. Michael says Jack Stane and Dan Maff in a tag team. You know what? F that. I want to see Jack Stane and Dan Maff just go at it. Just two freaking beasts. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Matt Riviera or Rob Conway can be good competition for Nick Aldis, the World Heavyweight Champion, the World Championship belt. I don't think you're going to see Rob Conway in the NWA because I know that he was supposed to be a part of the 70th anniversary show and basically canceled the night of. And I know that's a bummer. I mean, he wasn't going to wrestle. He was supposed to be part of the Hall of Champions. He was a former world champion. I mean, when you think about Bruce Tharp's NWA, you think of Jack Stane, you think of Tim Storm, and you think of Rob Conway. I mean, I also like to think of Satoshi Kojima, but you also have to think about Rob Conway. I mean, the guy was kind of the face of the brand in New Japan, and I think he would have made an excellent addition to the Hall of World Champions that they had. And even at his more advanced age, I would still love to see him in the ring. Him versus Nick Aldis. I'd pay to see that. And I think actually that would be a very fun match. Just I don't think it's in the cards. He didn't show up for the event, and I don't think that the NWA is out to ruin anybody's career. But I don't think they want to, once bitten, twice shy. I don't think they're gonna go after somebody who's already kind of no-showed on them. And with that being said, Matt Riviera, early on I know he did some things to help the NWA. I don't think there's any bad blood or anything between them, but I know a lot of his buddies have said some negative things about the NWA. Again, I just don't think it's a match made in heaven. I don't think that some of these guys understood what they were trying to do, and just things didn't get done. So, who I think I'd like to see challenge Nick Aldis and that World's Heavyweight Championship is we start looking at that Ring of Honor roster, right? Because if this invasion is actually going to happen, I mean, Flip Gordon has now challenged for that world title twice as an NWA wrestler. We had Marty Scurll challenge for the NWA title, but what about Jay Lethal? What about Jay Lethal challenging for that 10 pounds of gold? Now, I'm not trying to bring race into anything, but something that the NWA is lacking, as far as I'm concerned, is some diversity. And I know Willie Mack was supposed to be a big part of the NWA before his contract issues with AAA came up. But I would love to see Jay come in and challenge the World Heavyweight Champion, a former World Champion of Ring of Honor, challenging the real World Champion. I think that would be entertaining. And we don't need him to be the Macho Man. We don't need him to be a Ric Flair. We just need him to be himself. And I think that would be for some compelling television. Their PCO is still kind of killing it right now as Ring of Honor World Champion. Brody King, maybe he could take a shot at Nick Aldis. I think there's a lot of... DCAM says he's not so into the Ring of Honor's wrestlers challenging for the title. And that's cool, but you also have to keep in mind that the well for talent is starting to dry up. I don't think we're going to see any cross-promotional work with MLW, especially with Jacob Fatu being the MLW champion challenging Nick Aldis because of who Jacob Fatu is associated with. I don't think we're going to see the stars of MLW work with the NWA. I mean, there'd be a lot of dream matches there, right? We've got, we got the Von Erichs. We've got a lot of good, talented guys. Filthy Tom Lawler, Teddy Hart for a while, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith Jr. A lot of good guys that would be interesting to see in that. Sorry, guys, I'm getting blown up messages here. Like I said, that when you don't plan these shows, a lot of crazy things tend to happen. Jay Lethal and Brody King challenging, that would be fun. Willie says Satoshi Kojima or Hiroshi Tenzan could come as a tag team or singles wrestlers. Hey, I'd be okay with both of those things. I just don't think it's in the cards. It's really expensive to get flights from Japan to the United States. Now, the crazy thing is if the NWA and the New Japan USA had a way of working together, I mean, they're touring these states already, right? They're already in Japan. Why not just send these guys here like a week earlier to do the TV tapings and pay-per-view with the NWA, and then stick around for New Japan when they show up, and then finish their tour? I think it'd be a win-win situation. But I don't think they're sending Hiroshi Tenzan or Satoshi Kojima to these shows. They could, but they haven't done it so far. Thunder Rosa says she's back. Welcome back, Thunder Rosa! She gracing us with her presence once again. Has anyone seen her NWA merch? You guys need to check that out. We could also put a link to that, but feel free to type it and put it here. We'll share it later. But yeah, you guys, if you love Thunder Rosa so much, go buy her t-shirt. I dare you to. I double dog dare you to. MLW has a working relationship with Impact. That I didn't know, Lamb. That would explain a lot. For the Crockett Cup, I really hope we have teams from AML, CMLL, and New Japan for the Crockett Cup. Michael, I hope so too. I really, number one, the NWA doesn't have enough tag teams to carry an entire Crockett Cup. There just isn't. Right now, I think there's 4 tag teams. That doesn't make a tournament. And most of those guys were in last year's tournament. So, what about Austin Aries challenging Nick? Now, that would be something. I don't know if it would happen, but that would be something. I think the promos would be money. We know that Austin Aries was collecting title championship belts for a while, but no, I think it'll be fine. A lot of good wrestlers in Texas to challenge Aldis. Okay. I know the Von Erichs brothers are with MLW. Willie's bringing them up again. Oh, and hey guys, mandatory. I'm asking you. I don't ask you for a lot, but I'm mandatory. You got to go follow Thunder Rosa. She's cool enough to come and check us out in the chat room and watch this video. Then you guys should reciprocate and make sure you're following her both on Instagram and Twitter and all social medias. I think she's at Thunder Rosa 22 on Twitter, but I'll double check and we'll make that link available here after the show. But I think that's going to wrap it up because I know we're getting ready to go for NWA POWERRR. We're about 10 minutes away. So guys, please follow our friend Thunder Rosa. She came in and checked out to hang out with us today, guys. We're going to hopefully have her on our podcast very soon and just do an interview with her. But again, we appreciate your support, Thunder Rosa. Thank you very much for being here, guys. You know how genuinely I appreciate you guys coming every week to check out the show. I know you have options. I know there are other podcasts and the other live streams that go before NWA Power. The fact that you're here with me means so much to me. And again, we've been covering the National Wrestling Alliance for over 13 years now. Goodness gracious. You can visit us at alliance-wrestling.com for all your news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Plus, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, like you're watching right now, and everywhere else in between. We're going to call it a day, guys. Thank you so much for checking it out, and we'll see you next time at the matches. Let's go turn on NWA Power right now. Let's go.